This week we're working on lists. Lists allow us to store a lot of data together so that we have a bunch of data of the same type, and it also works really well with looping. So we're going to look at some of the different types of lists and use some of the built-in functions which let us do different things to lists. And then we'll use them with loops, which is one of the most powerful ways to work in programming. Lists are great for managing large collections of similar data. It works excellent with loops, either while loops or for loops. I tend to use for loops with lists, and it also helps with data management. So this is an example of a list. We have days: Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and each one is numbered with an index. When we're working with lists, we start counting the index at 0. So Sunday has a value of 0. Monday has a value of 1. Tuesday has a value of 2. Wednesday has a value of 3. Thursday has a value of 4. Friday has a value of 5. And Saturday has a value of 6. For most programming languages, you count starting with 0. There is an exception to that. COBOL doesn't, but not something to really worry about. There are different functions that let us act upon and change a list. If we want to add an item to the end of a list, we use the append function. And you know it's a function, again, because it has the name and then open parentheses. And we can send something to the list. So here's an example. We have my list equals 1, 2, 3, 4. Please note that when we're working with a list uses square brackets. Then we would have mylist.append 4, and that would add 4 to the end of the list. We also have a remove function. That will remove the first occurrence of a specified item from the list. That's something you need to be aware of. We could repeat. So here we have the number 2 appears in the list twice. So if we use mylist.remove 2, then we will be left with the second 2 because the first 2 would have been removed. We can also sort a list. Sometimes we'll want something in alphabetical or numeric order, and we can accomplish that by using we can use the .sort command, and that will actually change the memory. It's not just changing the output of the list, it is changing the list in the way that it's stored it in memory. So here we can see that we start with a list 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 9, 2, and then when we sort it, we get 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9. One of my preferred methods of working or functions on working with lists is called the pop method. And it removes and returns the item if you give an index. If you don't put in an index number, it removes the last item. So we start with this list with numbers 1, 2, 3, and so that would be an index of 0, an index of 1, an index of 2. And so if we did popped item equals mylist.pop, that would remove the last item because we didn't specify. So we would then have a list with items 1 and 2. Not a method. Length is a built-in function that returns the number, and method and function are used almost interchangeably. A method is a function that's specific to a certain class, or in this case works specifically upon lists, but they're basically the same thing. So although length is not a method, it is a built-in function that returns the number of items in a list. And we'll use this a lot, especially when we're going through for loops. So here we can get the length of a list, and the list is 1, 2, 3, which counts 0, 1, 2, but the length is 3. And so that's the basic on lists. Let's take a look at how to program them.